Respect is the fucking minimum for your life, for my life, for anyone to be in it. I wanted to do a fairly quick video on a subject that has just been sort of coming up lately that I think is topical and one that we need to all recognize in all relationships. You know, when you actually look at, there's a really great book called The Culture Code. One of the standard things that makes a successful corporate culture is that the employees have psychological safety. So think of that they have the safety to be themselves. And this isn't shocking information. This isn't new. This is exactly the same truth as families, because great running companies are like families. And if you don't have the safety to be yourself, to express yourself, to be authentic, then you will learn how to cultivate skills that project who you think you need to be in order to survive, in order to be promoted, in order to embrace whatever the culture is. And whenever there's a disconnect between what a company says it matters to them and what their decisions are, whenever there's a gap between those things, you have a false culture, you have inauthenticity, and people won't connect with the company anymore. This is true of families too. This is true of relationships. We love openness, we love growth, we love transparency, and then as soon as you're honest, you get shit on, right? So fuck that. That's like people constantly are trying to make you what they need so they're comfortable. Go find someone else, go find a different relationship, right? And the reason I'm coming to this is because it's all the same thing, which is your people do not need you to fit into a certain box to be their people. Now, if you have problems with communication, anger, defensiveness, criticism, which if you're human, you probably have some challenges there, like we all do, then it is your work to do, and it is important to change, not for them, but for you, so you maintain more connectivity in relationships. That's why you want to change. You don't want to change for them, because if you lose them, you'll lose your changes. Because the point of life is not to hold on to people. It's to hold on to yourself. And this comes to the whole reason I wanted to do this live, which is respect is the fucking minimum. If your relationships do not have respect, they do not have kindness, then you will not feel safe to open up as a human being, full stop. Now, this means that you have to respect the other person too. This is on both people. This isn't just a one-sided thing. This is a both people thing. Now, if you tolerate people who do not respect you, then you will not believe you're worthy of respect. This is why when you get into relationships with people who treat you poorly, who are unkind, who cheat, who fucking lie, that means you believe you're worthy of that behavior. You tell that person to go pound sand. You tell that person to get the fuck out of here. Because what has to happen with a human being is that, I gotta set my coffee down for this because I gotta use my hands. If you're in a relationship with someone who treats you unkindly, this is the person, this is you. If your belief is that you're worthy of great love and you keep this person, then your belief has to change. It has to, because whatever you choose, you will believe about yourself, right? If you want to find out what someone believes, look at their choices. Now, if you find someone who's disrespectful and unkind and you get rid of them, you reinforce your belief. I'm enough, I'm enough, I'm enough. This is the minimum. I have people answer this question all the time in my workshops and seminars, which is, when I let people love me, they, and when I love people, they. You finish those sentences and you'll find what your upper limit in love is. So it all comes down to what is the constructs of what you allow. What is the price of admission to be in your life? And actually, what are the greatest qualities in the research? It's kindness and respect. It's kindness and respect. So look for those. I read a really great quote from Matt Hussey where it said that they aren't the one when you meet them. They become the one by how they treat you. And that's a very good point. That's such a beautiful way of thinking about it. It's like, you don't just give them your heart because you had fucking chemistry. Like, you could have chemistry with a chair. Don't just give them your heart because you have chemistry, because you'll be attracted to people who are shitty, because evolutionarily you're going to be like, this person's powerful. They're going to fight for our genes. I can't wait to bang them and then get in a relationship that's dysfunctional as fuck. No, allow them to prove that they are the one, as you prove to yourself that you are their one. And that way you have these two people who are showing up to a relationship, making it so their efforts are never going away. As a baseline, humans understand what respect is by observing it. I mean, I would just Google what is respect. Right away, you'll get a really good answer, but then you got to pay attention to it. Now, this is where the human psyche has a lot of issues, which is when we learn something that proves that what something we've been doing is not working or we've been fucking up, we experience shame. And then when we experience shame, we usually shut down and continue the behavior. Learn something about how you could show up, about how you've been, poorly behaved, how you haven't been having great conversations, how you haven't been respectful. And then what you need to do is you need to shift your behavior. Now, most of us, when we experience shame, we shut down and we try to lie, and we try to hide, and we'll deny, we get defensive, we call out their stuff. Well, you do that too. Well, you do this, because we don't want to absorb their words because our worthiness feels completely called into question. But when something you've done has hurt someone and you hear it and you say, I can imagine that really hurt. I can imagine that was really hard. And when you have to let go of who you are to keep anyone, when you have to accept a lie as the truth and you don't actually pay attention to what you're seeing and what you're feeling in relationships. I see this all the time. People stay in relationships with people who treat them like shit. The reason we're in relationships with them is because we're being invited to step into our power. We are being invited to develop new skills. We are being invited to see how fucking powerful we really are. Then no, this is not okay. I'm done. I'm out. Let me hold back onto myself, because what you're doing is you're grabbing back the child in you who you have put in the range of fire, you have put in the battle, and you grab them and you save them and you say, no more. It's time for me to take care of myself. It's time for me to stand up for myself. It's time for me to protect me. No one else is going to do it for you. If respect is the minimum to get in a relationship, do you demand respect? Do you take the child in you and say, you never speak to me like that? You never do that. And if you ever try it again, I'm gone. The greatest corporate cultures and the greatest families and the greatest relationships have psychological safety and freedom to be ourselves. And if they are not, we learn how to construct a different version of us to meet them so that we can feel safe. Remember, respect is the fucking minimum. Amen. Also, if you could do me a favor, can you go on my iTunes podcast, Mark Groves Podcast? Listen to it if you haven't. It's fucking amazing. The guests are so good. And if you could give me a 5-star review and give me a written review. The written reviews really help me. If just 10 of you did that, that would make a huge difference. I would be so appreciative. So thank you, everyone. So grateful for all of you. Respect is the minimum.